today's episode will be on how to get receipts with God. Hey, guys, here we are with another episode of No Receipts Equals No Intimate Relationship. So before we get into this episode, I want to introduce myself. My name is Destiny Thomas, but my clients and my dearest friends call me the Prayerpist, and that's because I work with people one-on-one with strengthening their relationship with God, specifically through their prayer life. As I talked about in episode 1, the Lord has placed it upon my heart to do a series on no receipt equals no intimate relationship. And the reason why he has me doing this is because I truly have found and seen in the clients I work with in my own personal life that if you don't have receipts for God, it's very, very hard for you to have a true intimate relationship with God. And without an intimate relationship with God, it's really hard to really trust someone you can't see or have faith in someone that you haven't seen show up in your life before. So today's episode will be on how to get receipts with God. Now, I truly believe there's 6 ways to get receipts for God, but today we're going to just focus on the first 3. The first way that you get receipts for God is through your prayer life, obviously, right? The definition for prayer is to be in communication with God. And let's clarify, not just you talking. That means you talking, him listening, and then him talking and you listening. So yes, if you didn't catch that, that means in prayer time, there has to be a specific time where you shut up. Sorry, I didn't mean to say it that way. Or you be quiet, as my 5-year-old would tell me to say, right? So there's a time in prayer where you have to be quiet. If you really think about a true conversation that you have with someone where you're trying to get strategy, where you're trying to get answers, where you're trying to get clarity and direction, right? You go into that conversation pouring out your heart or the areas where you need a solution in, right? And that person is listening very attentively to you, maybe even taking notes to give you a solution to your problem. But guess what? If you decided to end that call before getting the solution, you would just be as confused as you were when you got on the phone, right? And it's the same thing with God. If we truly want receipts for God, we have to be postured in a way to hear from God, to get our own direction, our own clarity, our own answers from God. So the first way to get receipts from God is through your prayer life. And that means being still, being quiet, asking God to remove the spirit of distraction from your mind, from your thoughts, from whatever, and really just allowing him to speak to you. Way number 2, the second way that you get receipts from God is by being obedient. So I like to give this analogy because a lot of people give me the whole, I don't know if it was God. I don't think it was God. I think it was more of me than it was God, right? And I know if you're honest with yourself, you've had those same questions because I did before I built a more strong, intimate relationship with God. But I always give this analogy to people. We just do this crazy thing where if I wake up in the morning and I'm pregnant, so I do wake up in the morning and want a cheeseburger, right? But if you wake up in the morning and want a cheeseburger, it's your taste buds telling you that you want a cheeseburger. You don't say, I just want a cheeseburger. My taste buds aren't saying they want it. I just have a craving for it. No, I shouldn't get a cheeseburger. Now, if you're on a healthy diet or things like that, then maybe you are saying I shouldn't have it. But the point of this conversation is that you're going to get a cheeseburger if you really want to, right? No one has to come and confirm for you that you really have a taste for a cheeseburger, that it's not really a cheesecake that you have a taste for, that it's a cheeseburger, right? But when it comes to God, we do it so backwards. We can believe that it's God this much, right? This much, I want to go this much, right? And then we're like, God, I need you to confirm yourself. And he'll confirm himself. Oh, God, I need you to confirm yourself one more time. We hear a sermon and it confirms it. God, I need you to hear you one more time. We have a friend who calls us and confirms it. God, I need you to, and God, and we just do that over and over again. But one time in prayer, the Lord said something to me, and it truly changed my perspective of how I move when it comes to God. And the Lord said, Destiny, you're doing it wrong. You don't even need confirmation from me to do something you believe I'm telling you to do. I honor your intention to be obedient, right? God is a God who is able to reroute, redirect, put us on a new path, right? Give us a detour. He's able to do all of those things. But one thing God is never able to do is move our feet or make the choice of Him for us, which is why He gave us choice. So the way you be obedient to God is by when you have that small unction that is God, just move. Just continue. What I continue to say to myself and what I urge you to say to yourself is God will always redirect me if I go wrong, if it wasn't Him, right? But God can't make me do what He wants me to do. So if I believe in my heart that God wants me to pray for someone in public or pay for the person in front of me's groceries or whatever the case may be, I'm going to act on it and believe that God is going to honor my desire to be obedient to Him. So that's way number 2, that you can get receipts from God by action, right? By moving, by being obedient when you believe it's God, even if you believe it this much and not quite this much yet, right? So that's step number 2. So step number 1 is through your prayer life, right? Learning how to be still and be quiet and just let Him talk. Step number 2 is by being obedient, by not overthinking God. One of the biggest lessons I've learned on my journey with God is He's so not complicated. We as a society that believes our brains are so intelligent, which they are, but they're not smarter than God. I realized that He's not as complicated as I made Him. He's actually very simple. Very simple. Way number 3 that you get receipts from God is you ask for them. A lot of us have not asked God for receipts. We've asked for them, but we have not been patient enough to allow God to answer, right? So if you watched episode 1, you heard that my first receipt I got from God was me asking God for something, me challenging God, right? Matthew 7:7 says, ask and you shall receive. A lot of us have not tried God at His word, right? And like I said, God is very simple. If His word says, ask and you shall receive, of course, if it's in His will, why not ask Him? So step number 3, or way number 3 that you get receipts from God, is by asking Him for a receipt. Lord, I'm coming to you because I know you're the one who can help me in this particular area. God, I know that you are a healer, that you are a miracle worker, because your word gives me testimony after testimony of how you healed the man with the lepers, how you gave the blind man sight again, how you made the man who couldn't walk again, right? Your word has testimony after testimony that you are a healer, that you are a miracle worker. So God, I'm standing on your word and asking you to come through in my life or my mom's life or whomever's life I'm praying for, right? So ask Him. So like I said last week, I'm gonna make these videos very short, very sweet. So today we were discussing how do you get receipts from God? Step number 1, through your prayer life, by being still, being silent, and being accessible to God, right? Allowing Him to speak. Step number 2, which comes with it, goes hand in hand with your prayer life, right? Being obedient when you are still and silent and hear Him, or even when you're not still and silent, but you believe it's Him, that you act immediately, that your heart's desire is to be obedient to God. And God is such a graceful, merciful God that He can redirect you, that He can give you a new detour, a new path, but you need to move your feet. And last but definitely not least for this episode, step number 3 is by asking Him. Challenge God. God's word says multiple times, try me. So just try Him. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. I ask that you go ahead and put in the comments, out of those 3 steps, which one do you think you're struggling in the most and why? And which one do you think you are actually really, really good at right now? And comment below. But of course, definitely subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can know when episode 3 drops of No Receipts Equals No Intimate Relationship. Thank you, and until next time.
My session with Destiny, which happened a couple of days ago, was, I'm not sure that there's a word for it other than amazing, superb. God filled. I walked in not really sure what to expect. I just knew that this was something I needed to do, to, I think, hear from God, and just be able to find more direction in where I was going with a few things in life. And to say that I got a revelation would be an understatement. Um, I think it was so real and so just on point. Didn't miss the mark. And what was for me very comforting was that Destiny didn't know me, so this was not something she picked up out of knowing me personally or from stalking me on social media, because I'm not on social media. Um, this really was, like, I knew was the Spirit of God. This was very specific. It wasn't a generic message or one that's kind of like could apply to anyone, but it specifically applied to me. And I felt like I was talking to a friend, and felt like um, I've gained a new sister. And for me, that is amazing when doing the work of God, and it just is aligned with really not just the Bible, but what I think the Christian life should be like: one of fellowship, one of love, one of warmth. And I was pleasantly surprised and really touched. And I will definitely be doing more sessions.